Hello, my name is Rafed Aljoboury. I'm the founder and chairman of Integrity Political Action Committee, that's IPAC, and Universal Disaster Relief Foundation, UDRF, which is provide humanitarian aid in Gaza. We are here as a call to action. We initiated call to action to pressure member nations of the UN to enact resolution Uniting for Peace Resolution 377A. Resolution is designed to bypass the veto of the permanent members of the Security Council, and it is well overdue to get that passed. It should have been passed last year, and you have the supermajority support among member nations. Therefore, it's immune from any American veto, and they can enact and enforce peace in Gaza through sanctions, through even deployment of international forces. As the death toll among Gazan civilians, not just actually in Gaza, even in West Bank, but in Gaza particularly, over 500,000 people now are lost their lives because of the silence, complicity of the Western nations, including the 5 members of the permanent members of the UN and Security Council, as well as the rest of the member nations. They don't have the political will to enact it, and we are here to ask them, demand from them to do their job. That's part of their charter and mission, to enforce peace and provide humanitarian aid, rather than accept the fact that Israel would not comply and goes unpunished, which they've been acting with impunity since this started, rather since 1948. It is time for the free people in the world to pressure their governments, their ambassadors to the UN, all the offices in the UN. We're calling on global action for pressure campaign until they enact this resolution and save Gaza and save the lives in there.
My name is Rabbi Dovid Feldman from the Touré Carta International, Jews United Against Zionism, www.nkusa.org. We are standing here in front of the United Nations headquarters in New York City. We were having here this press conference for addressing the member states of the United Nations, of the world, to stand up for Gaza, to stand up for Palestine. Unfortunately, we are seeing this endless cycle of bloodshed where everyone suffers. Unfortunately, we are seeing this 2 years of genocide, months already of starvation. Little children are being starved to death. This is unacceptable, but it's not only this, it's already decades of unjust occupation, and all of this needs to stop. As Jewish people, we attend here this press conference, and we speak up in each and every occasion around the world, and we say no. We are embarrassed when all of this is being done supposedly in our name. It's our religion which is being desecrated. The Jewish religion is being misused to justify all these crimes, and all of this is wrong. Killing, stealing, oppressing an entire people is not only a violation of international law, these are violations of Judaism. This whole concept of Zionism to build a sovereign homeland for Jewish people by physical means is contrary to very basics of Judaism. This is wrong. Masses of Jewish people worldwide oppose all that Israel stands for. So never be intimidated. You always stand up for justice and condemn evil which is taking place. This is not anti-Semitic. Speaking up against these crimes is not anti-Semitism, because Judaism and Zionism is not the same. Judaism is a religion, Zionism is a purely political movement, should never be conflated. When you conflate the two, you do an injustice for the suffering people of Palestine because you silence the righteous voice. And at the same time, you are doing harm to the Jewish people, because when you conflate the two, you generalize all Jews and you make all Jews accountable to what is happening. Generalizing Judaism with Zionism is an act of anti-Semitism, and no one should go that route. We should stand up for justice. We should stand up for Almighty God. We should stop this injustice, and we should save humanity. We plead with the member states of the United Nations to come forward and to do everything they can to stop the genocide now, to stop this occupation. We need to wake up and to realize that this state of Israel in the first place was wrong, this was unjust, and this was a violation of Judaism, a rebellion against God. We need to stop this, not only for the sake of the oppressed people of Palestine who deserve freedom, who deserve a better future. We have to stop this for the sake of the Jewish people who are endangered as well. We want to see the end of this injustice, and then and only then we can hope to see once again that beautiful peace that did exist in Palestine. This was destroyed because of this occupation, not because of a difference of religion. We had differences of religion for the longest time. We need to stop the cause to conflict. We need to stop the obstacle to peace. And then and only then we can see a better future for everyone. Free Palestine, freedom for everyone involved.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful event. We are here to support Resolution 377A to demand that the UN takes up this resolution to end the genocide in Gaza. And I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. It's very busy, early in the week, and people are taking their valuable time to come out here. It's very important. And we certainly want to thank all of our guests and everyone. We're going to start off with an invocation. We have Father Harry Bury. He's a Catholic priest, an anti-war activist since the days of the Vietnam War, and personal friends of Father Daniel Barrington and Mother Teresa. We're also going to have with us Rabbi Dovid Feldman. He's a spokesman for Neturei Karta International, and Rafed Aljoboury, chairman of Integrity Political Action Committee and Universal Disaster Relief Foundation. Before I get started, I want to let everyone know, and this is very important, that we're going to have a number of guests speaking here, and that these guests are speaking as individuals. They don't speak for any particular organization, and they don't speak for the group as a whole, so that people here will be speaking from their heart, and they'll be saying the things that they believe, but they will be speaking as individuals. Thank you very much. Let's start with the invocation.
Welcome, peacemakers. It is a joy for me to come and be with you today. We know that it is through God that we're able to do what we're doing, that God has given us the grace. And so we thank God, and we invite you to pray with us. Gracious and most vulnerable God, we thank you for being present with us. We believe through your gift of faith, we as a Christian, that you sent your divine Son into the world to reveal to us what it is that you want us to think and believe and do. You're calling us and revealing to us that what you want us to do through your Son, Jesus, is to stop the killing. Stop the killing. And especially stop the killing in Gaza, the genocide that is going on there. So, dear God, we're here to do that. We're here to do your will. We know that that's what you want us to do, to stop killing. And so help us that we might carry out this mission that you have given us. Can you say amen to that?
Amen. Next, we have Rabbi Dovid Feldman, spokesman for Neturei Karta International.
We are all standing in a troubling time where masses of innocent men, women, and children are being mass murdered. And we as Jewish people are embarrassed when all of this is being done in our name, and our religion, the Jewish religion, is being misused to justify all of this. I'm representing masses of anti-Zionist Jews worldwide, and we express the voice of our religion, which is in total contradiction, condemnation of these killings and of the existence of the State of Israel. When we are seeing this endless cycle of bloodshed where everyone suffers, we need to remember those suffering people and those people who are killed. In our prayers we say, Yizkor Elokim, may Almighty God remember the souls of those people who were killed or died. May Almighty God place them amongst the souls of the righteous from all generations. Taifen alayni berachmam, ki atu ibal rachmam. People are suffering, we turn to you, Almighty God. turn towards us with compassion, since you are the God of compassion. And regarding the future, we say in the prayer, in the Kaddish prayer, we say for the dead, and we end by saying, Oise Shulam b'Maryum, He who makes peace in his heavens, He may make peace to all of us. We should merit to see those days which Prophet Isaiah said in chapter 2, V'lo yisu goel goel cherev. They should turn their swords into plowshares. This is etched into the wall here next to us across the United Nations. And nations should no longer wage wars against nations, neither should they learn war anymore. As the verse says in Leviticus 27, V'nesati shulam b'uretz, God says, I would grant freedom or peace to the land, and you would lie down and sleep with no fear. We hope that these days come soon, when all of us can live in peace, regardless where we come from. No oppression, no starvation, no genocide, and no occupation, and no Zionism. Thank you very much.
And next we have Rafed Aljoboury, Chairman of Integrity Political Action Committee and Universal Disaster Relief Foundation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. We would like to do supplication for our people in Gaza. Oh Allah, lift the harm from our people in Gaza and Palestine, the whole of Palestine, and have mercy upon them. Aid them in their weakness and helplessness. Oh Allah, lift their siege, relieve their worries, and ease their distress. Oh Allah, grant them victory over the oppressor. Heal their wounded and forgive their martyrs. Oh Allah, strengthen them with your faith. Grant them your unassailable victory, and protect them with your ever vigilant eye, and grant them, the families of the martyrs, patience, steadfastness, perseverance, and aid them in the ultimate victory to free Palestine.
We are now going to go to our speakers. We're very, very fortunate to have a number of wonderful activists and intellectuals here. We're going to start with Sarah Lee Whitson, the Executive Director for Dawn, Democracy for the Arab World Now. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you to the organizers for this event. I think you all know, as well as I do, that we are here at a moment of great urgency and great opportunity. Israel stands alone in the world, backed only by the AIPAC-funded government of the United States, as it ruthlessly carries out its genocide in Gaza and promises to annex the remainder of the West Bank. But the international community, the member states of the United Nations, and the vast majority of the people of this planet oppose Israel's crimes. The International Criminal Court has indicted Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes, crimes against humanity, starvation, and murder. The International Court of Justice has ruled that Israel's occupation is illegal, constitutes apartheid rule, and must be brought to an end. Over a year ago, the court further ruled that Israel's war in Gaza is plausibly genocidal. Last year, the UN General Assembly passed a historic resolution under a Uniting for Peace emergency session, adopting the decisions of the International Court of Justice, and the United General Assembly gave Israel a one-year deadline, 3 days from now, September 18, 2025, to end its occupation, withdraw not only its forces but its settlers, dismantle its settlements, end its genocidal assault, and pay reparations to the Palestinian people for their many decades of plunder, theft, and destruction. The UN General Assembly, the largest gathering of member states of the world, has urged all member states to take a specific set of actions to end their support for Israel's crimes, including ending aid and assistance to Israel that supports its occupation and genocide, ending trade and dealings with Israel, and preventing trade and investment with Israel by their citizens, entities, and businesses that support the occupation and genocide, sanctioning individuals and entities, including with travel bans and asset freezes, who are aiding Israel's occupation and genocide, and prosecuting Israeli criminals responsible for the occupation and genocide. These are very strong recommendations from the UN General Assembly, and since then, dozens of states have taken important actions to comply with the resolution. They've imposed arms embargoes on Israel, including Germany and Italy, its second and third largest supplier of weapons. They have suspended diplomatic relations with Israel, recalled their ambassadors, and evicted Israeli representatives. They have suspended trade and investment in Israel, barred ships carrying weapons to Israel from docking in their ports or flying under their flags. They have launched criminal investigations into Israelis and dual nationals who have participated in war crimes in Gaza. And they have sanctioned violent extremist settlers and settlement entities. They are now canceling sporting events like the bicycling contest this week in Spain, musical events, and other collaborations that allow Israel to participate in the international community as if it were a normal state. Rather than support these efforts, our government, the United States, has desperately resorted to bullying, attacks, sanctions, and even war in defense of Israel. The chokehold of pro-Israel money in Americans' democracy has produced the most perverse outcomes, leading our nation to sanction the ICC prosecutor, its judges, and even UN officials like the Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese for their efforts to document and hold Israeli war criminals accountable. They've sanctioned Palestinian human rights organizations supporting the ICC prosecution. They've threatened even allies like France and the United Kingdom with punishment if they recognize the state of Palestine, itself a milquetoast gesture of support. They've attacked students in universities, scholars, and journalists in our country to silence speech on Palestine. And they've even launched military attacks on Iran and Yemen in support of Israeli interests. But this is a losing battle for Israel because Israel is a losing nation in the eyes of the world. No amount of repression will force us to look away, to bow our heads, to shut our mouths. 1 year on, we know Israel will not comply with the UN's demands. It will continue to savagely murder and expel Palestinians in a naked attempt to take their land and force them out. It has brought its belligerents throughout the Middle East, violating the security and sovereignty of hundreds of millions of people with military attacks on Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, Iran, Yemen, and Qatar in the past 2 years alone. We know that Israel gets its way and gets away with these crimes only and only because of U.S. military support and political protection, blocking the efforts of the Security Council to stop Israel's atrocities. That is why we are now urging the UN General Assembly to push member states to abide by last year's resolution, but also to secure a new resolution under Uniting for Peace to mandate peacekeeping forces to Gaza immediately and with utmost urgency. Such a mandate will give states who care about Palestine and care about global peace and security the legal authorization they need to deploy forces to protect Palestinians from the final solution of a Gaza Riviera absent Palestinians, to bring humanitarian aid to alleviate the famine Israel has deliberately created there, to bring in medical assistance for the tens of thousands of wounded and injured, and support for what is now, shockingly, the largest population of child amputees in the world. These are dark days in Palestine. There is no shying away from this. They are dark days in the whole world. We know very well that Palestine is a litmus test for the survival of our planet against tyranny and barbarism, for upholding a basic modicum of international law and order to prevent the worst crime known to man, genocide. Even if you don't care about Palestine or Palestinians, you must care about peace and decency and the rule of law in this world, or before long, we will all go down. To our friends in Gaza, to the mothers and fathers and children, and the young men and the young women, I want to say again and again, we are with you. We will not abandon you, and we stand with you and will fight alongside you for freedom. Thank you.
Next, we have Anthony Aguilar. He's a former Green Beret. He was with the UG Solutions contractor. He's a truth teller, and I'm sure many of you have seen his interview online recently. Anthony.
The United Nations headquarters is right behind us. The charter of that organization that we all support stands for peace, justice, and security. 193 nations are a part of it, and 5 can veto anything. The United States is one of them. Since June of this year, in the last 3 months, the United States has vetoed over 50 resolutions to put an end to the war in Gaza. 50. The United States has vetoed every one of those resolutions to end the war, for a ceasefire, to allow food from the United Nations to go in to feed the starving population, to put an end to the daily bombing that's killing thousands of Palestinians, women and children mostly. And the United States has stood against that 50 times in the last 3 months. The United States government, our executive and our legislative branches, are compromised. Our government is compromised through AIPAC, through religious ideology, through people with agendas that do not align to American values and, quite frankly, to the values of the world. 193 nations, and one continually stands against the world to veto ending a genocide. Ending a genocide. And no one should leave here today with any doubt in your mind that the United States and our compromised government isn't backing a genocide. I was there. I saw it firsthand, face to face. Fathers carrying their dead children that starved to death. Mothers carrying their dead children that starved to death. Fathers dragging a wooden pallet with family members that died from starvation or were killed by bombs. Infants missing limbs. Children separated from their families that will never see their families again or know if they're alive. That's the reality of what's going on in Gaza right now. That's the truth. And the United States is funding it, is backing it, and in the eyes of the world, saying that it's okay. That it's okay. Resolution 377A allows for the world to actually do what the United Nations is intended to do. When governments say that the United Nations isn't working like it should, well, it's because of things like this. It's because of a nation having the ability to veto 193 other nations saying, no, we're not going to put a stop to that war. And then when you look at why, because they're being paid off by the government that's telling them not to do it. Israel has bought the U.S. veto. That's a fact. The U.S. has bought, or excuse me, the U.S. has sold our veto to Israel, and Israel uses it 50 times in the last 3 months. The facts are clear. Every resolution that's been brought forward to end the war. This isn't about politics. This isn't about religion. This isn't about Hamas. This isn't about who's on the right or who's on the left. This is about humanity. Period. There are children dying by the thousands every day. The last death toll that came out, and I have said this for weeks, 160, 140 to 160, that is a lie. The death toll is likely upwards of 500,000 to 600,000. Imagine that, 500,000 to 600,000 dead, and that's coming from the Israeli government. That's not coming from Hamas. That's not coming from the Gaza Health Ministry. That's not coming from me. Israel has said that. And the majority of those deaths are women and children. Children are dying, and we're watching it. Genocide being played out on TV every day. Just this morning, the Israeli Defense Forces leveled the tallest building in Gaza City. And you know what that building was? An apartment. It's like this, an apartment where people lived. Do you think they all got out? No, they didn't. They didn't get out. Because I've been to Gaza, I've been to Rafah, which now doesn't exist. I've been to Mawasi, which doesn't exist. I've been to Khan Yunis, which doesn't exist. I've been to Berish, which doesn't exist. I've crossed the Ghazi, or the Wadi in Gaza up into southern Gaza City that doesn't exist. Every inch of Gaza is going to be leveled. And every Palestinian alive, if they survive the bombing, the starvation, the famine, the disease, and they manage to live through that, you know what's waiting for them down south? A concentration camp. A concentration camp that the United States is funding. That's not rhetoric. I have seen it. I've seen the contract. I've seen the work being done. I've seen them building it, and they're building it right now. A concentration camp that will house the remaining living survivors of this genocide. And once they're there, you know what's going to happen to them? We don't know. And that should scare everybody. That should scare everyone. We don't know. The United States, who do you think's guarding that concentration camp? Is it Israel? No. Is it some peacekeeping force? No. Is it Hamas? No. It's the United States. Americans, like me. U.S. citizens standing guard at that concentration camp to bring Palestinians that survived a war, women and children and the elderly that are starving and dying, put into a concentration camp where they will either die or eventually be sent somewhere else. And the United States is guarding it. American citizens, paid for by the U.S. government, paid for by AIPAC money, paid for by the lobby that Israel uses to buy our veto power in the United Nations. Look these things up. We have used our veto power more to veto resolutions against Israel in the last 3 months than we've ever used it for ourselves. That should tell you something. We are bought off, and if we don't push to enact this resolution, our government will continue to draw us down that path. Our government is compromised. There is no other way to put it. Within weeks, not months, not years, within weeks, the world will stand by and witness the completion of the final solution. The genocide, the displacement of every living Palestinian to the south, and thousands will die. In the next week alone, mark my words, watch the news, hundreds of thousands will die. And we are standing by and we are doing nothing. We're watching it. I ask myself every day, what can I do? What more can I do? What can we do? These are things you can do. Demand that the United Nations enact 377A. Demand that our lawmakers in the United States back away from being bought off by a foreign country and stand up for the Constitution and the charter of this organization and end a genocide. That's what we're talking about. 50 times in the last 3 months, the United States has stood up and said no to ending a genocide. Never in my life as an American did I think that those words would come out of my mouth. I served this country for 25 years. I fought in every war this country has fought in for the last quarter century. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Tajikistan, the southern Philippines. Never did I think that my own country, and looking at what we're doing, that we would stand up and say yes to a genocide. Yes to the continued starvation and bombing of innocent women and children. Yes to the continuation of a displacement of an entire population. Yes to the occupation of a territory where thousands are being killed every day. And that's exactly what we're doing. If you're an American, you should be ashamed. If you're a citizen of the world, you should be ashamed. You don't have to stand for it. We don't have to stand for it. Every voice matters. Every voice matters. Every sign, every voice, every action, every protest, every letter, every time you talk to someone about it, it matters. But if we don't raise that voice and we don't make something happen soon, all of us will bear witness to this genocide on live TV. And when it's done, we're all going to look back in history and say, everybody knew this was wrong. And the question you're going to have to ask yourself is, what did you do about it? What did you do? Did you watch it? Every voice matters, so make your voice known. I have seen it. I have been there. I have witnessed it. I have seen the plans. The plan in Gaza City is being executed to perfection by what the Israeli Defense Forces plan to do. The plan for the displacement of the entire population of Gaza to the south is being executed in perfection of what the Israeli government intended to do. The plan that is being executed and what is happening right now in Gaza before our eyes is a perfectly executed plan for genocide. And the world is complicit. And the United States is standing by and allowing it because our veto power and our politicians have been bought off by a foreign government. I've seen them. I've talked to them. I've been in their offices and looked them in the eyes and said, how can you stand for the genocide and the killing of babies? Well, we don't, but there's nothing we can do about it. What do you mean there's nothing you can do about it? There's nothing you will do about it because you're compromised. Our government is compromised. And if we're going to stand here and allow a government that's compromised to continue to support a genocide, we're wrong. We are wrong. And looking back on the right side of history, I don't want to be on that side. So I'm on this side of it. And I invite all of you to stay on this side of it. And I invite all of you to get everybody else to get on this side of history, because history will judge. And right now, we're on the wrong side of it.
Next, we have Linda Sarsour. She's a Palestinian-American organizer here in New York City.
Thank you. Good evening, or good afternoon, I'm sorry. I don't even know what time of the day it is, but I know that there's still a genocide that is going on. My name is Linda Sarsour. I'm a Palestinian-American organizer here in New York City. And I am absolutely horrified and outraged every single day. I did not believe that in my lifetime that I would be watching a full-blown genocide on 4K, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm here to ask, how many more burnt bodies do we have to see? How many more amputated children do you have to see? How many more bombed hospitals? How many more leveled neighborhoods in Gaza? How many more children being pulled out from under the rubble? There is nothing more to see, and there is nothing more to say. Our world leaders have demonstrated cowardice to the rest of the world. We are asking you today to find the courage of the Palestinian youth across the world who have stood up for Palestine unbought and unbossed. Find the courage of the American students on college campuses taking risks you never have. Faith leaders and organizers of every background. Most importantly, find the courage of the mothers and fathers of Gaza, their resilience and steadfastness of the people of Gaza. For how long will you allow a genocide to continue? For Netanyahu to execute and complete his plans? There is a clear ethnic cleansing campaign happening right before our very eyes, and the time to act is now. This is a state of emergency and has been a state of emergency. You as the United Nations have only one responsibility, and that is to maintain security and peace around the world. And you have failed miserably. And if you don't act now, that will be your legacy. And every child's blood in Gaza that has spilled is on your hands. As an American, I'm asking all of the UN leaders to stand up to my leaders, to stand up to American political leaders, and enact Resolution 377A. We, the American people, the majority of the American people, are against genocide. We are pro-peace, we are pro-diplomacy, and we stand with you. For my fellow Americans, keep organizing, keep speaking, and do not be intimidated and do not be silenced by anyone who tells you that we are a people of war and not a people of peace. The Palestinian people deserve better from our leaders. And I am proud to say that all across this country we have found that the majority of people are on the right side of history. But we suffer from having cowards as our leaders. We also have things to do here as Americans. We get up, we protest, we use our voice, but I also want you to go to blockthebombs.org. There is a piece of legislation moving in Congress right now to block the bombs that are falling on the people of Gaza. Check to see if your member of Congress is on it. And if they are not, demand that they are on it. Go to their offices, email them, call them. Do not stop standing up for the Palestinian people. And I end today by saying that I am more proud today than I have ever been to be a Palestinian. Amen. And that our people have shown more courage under bombardment and in a genocide than every leader in the West and every Arab and Muslim leader in the world. And if we are to heed the calls of the Palestinian people, they don't want your flour, they don't want your food. What they want for you is to hold the nations that you are from accountable and demand that they stop being complicit in the genocide of our generation. Assalamu alaikum and free Palestine.
Next we have Dr. Lama Khouri representing Doctors Against Genocide.
Salam hub lil jamia. Love and peace to everyone. Standing here before this United Nations Secretariat, I feel seething with rage at the hypocrisy, the double standard, the inhumanity, and at how this organization failed us. But when I look at all of you, the joy rises and steadies me. Your solidarity, the great masses around the world that refuse to give up, keeps hope alive. Yet again, I turn towards Gaza. I remember the 4-month-old baby, angelic face and as tender as a baby can be. His leg was amputated without anesthesia and is screeching with pain. The 4-year-old with tears streaming down his face repeats between sobs, "Ana ja'an, ana ja'an, I'm hungry, I'm hungry." And the children's questions that break the heart, they ask, do the pilots who bomb children have children? If the missile hits us, will it hurt or will we die right away? And when I die, will I hear your voice? 80 years ago, the Charter of the UN spoke on our behalf. It began with "we the peoples." It says, "We the peoples, determined to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person." I'm going to repeat it. We the peoples, determined to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity of the human person. Well, today, dear leaders, we are here to collect on that promise. Do not tell us that a handful of governments wielding a veto can silence the world. Do not tell us that law must kneel before power. Choose life, choose justice, choose courage. The Palestinian people and our allies will never, never, never give up on reclaiming Palestinian land, Palestinian freedom, and Palestinian dignity. For 2 years, we have watched bread lines turn into mourning lines, safe tents lit by fire, children orphaned and without limbs, teenagers hauled to cells for nothing, crimes against humanity enough to fill volumes of history books. And still, through carnage and destruction, through pain, heartbreak, despite moments of utter despair, I see us all there over the ocean where the sun always rises. I see us in Al-Quds, Ramallah, Jenin, and crossing into Gaza City, Al-Rimal, Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis, Rafah, to embrace the children and to apologize for not arriving sooner. to clear the rubble, rebuild homes and schools, plant trees, dance, and rejoice. From the river to the sea, Palestine is almost free. Until that day, dear comrades, keep talking about Palestine, keep posting, keep protesting, keep disrupting, keep organizing, and do not stop believing that Palestine is almost free. Thank you.
Next, we have Joesphine Guibeau. And let's not forget, everyone, we are here to take a moral stand against genocide, and we are also here to urge, or dare I say, demand that the United Nations General Assembly enact Resolution 377A. Joesphine Guibeau, 17-year U.S. Army veteran and Associate Director of the Eisenhower Media Network.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the speakers that have flown in or drove in, or everyone. I know we're really, in a tense situation right now with the invasion of Gaza City, and this is just all the more important of why we're here. Faith without works is dead. Words without action is dead. And the children in Palestine are dead because of it. They had the power to save them, and they decided not to use it. Yes, them, the United Nations, the American leaders, hold the power to end the genocide with one phone call, and they have decided not to make that phone call. Every single one of the American citizens out here, your silence is complicity in the genocide as well. From a mother dropping their child off at school, or a pastor at church, to a president, a prime minister, a senator, or a congressman, every single person in this world holds the responsibility of our children, all of our children, being killed by the Zionists, the evil of the Zionists. To American leaders, this country is no longer free. We are controlled by the Zionists. You have lost the fight against them. And American citizens must rise and replace them. Rise to restore the values this country has the potential to hold and must hold, which is the principle of humanity. American leaders, these leaders at the United Nations, have led all people of this world into a great darkness. This is our legacy. But what you see here is the light. And they will not push us or our hearts or our minds into darkness. We will be the light that continues to shine. Whether you imprison us, censor us, or even try to take our lives, we will still shine. We are at a point of no return. The reality of those dead inside of the apocalyptic Gaza is in the hundreds of thousands. Imagine what I have just said to you. A group of people, the Zionists, in collaboration with international leaders and American leaders, have decided that a few dozen hostages are worth the slaughter of thousands of babies. The reality is, it was never about the hostages. The reality is, for 77 years, world leaders have failed Palestine and Palestinians, and in turn have failed us all. As these people die, our people die. We are all one people. We are all one family. And as they make the choice to continue to slaughter our children, we are affected. They have failed all of us, not just Palestine. We have always been one people, and a death to one is a death to all of us. As the late and honorable Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. And so do I. I do have a dream. I dream of a world we can live in, a world without hate, a world without forcing babies to starve, a world without bombing limbs off of babies, a world of peace, a world where every mother can tuck her child in with a meal, with safety, and with a kiss. Don't you dream this? Can't you see it? How in this moment of our existence as a species have we resorted to exterminating a mother's child? Are we that low in our consciousness now in this matrix that we don't have the capacity for resolve in a more peaceful way? I have a dream that all children, no matter where on this earth, are respected and loved. I have a dream we, the people of this world, are not complicit in the genocide of Palestine by being cowards to the evil ones. Don't let this evil change your heart. Around the world, I call everyone to join me in this prayer, a prayer that breaks the barriers of religion and race, a prayer we can all apply to our hearts. This is what I know. This is where I get love from, and maybe you can too. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. God, deliver us from evil, please. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Thine. Thine, that means you. You hold the power. You hold the power inside of you. It is inside of you to bring and restore humanity on earth. End this genocide. The United Nations General Assembly must enact the United for Peace Resolution 377A now. Palestine is dying. We cannot wait any longer. We need intervention now. Free Palestine.
All right, next we have Hani Nofal, a former, or Nofal, you will forgive me if I botch the names, I will probably do that fairly regularly, but a former naval submarine officer who resigned in protest against government complicity in genocide.
Salam, shalom, good afternoon. My name is Hani Nofal. I'm a submarine officer veteran, an American, a husband, a father, and most importantly, a human being. Friends and fellow human beings, thank you for standing here in front of the building that was supposed to keep peace. 80 years ago, the world built the United Nations on a simple hope that power would be restrained by conscience, that the few entrusted with vetoes would use them rationally, in good faith, to stop wars, not to excuse them. Today, that hope is on life support. When one permanent nation shields an ally, no matter the reality, the Council goes blind. That is where we are. That is Palestine. That is Gaza. Let's speak plainly. The Security Council has been paralyzed by a string of U.S. vetoes that blocked ceasefires, blocked accountability, and blocked even the words needed to acknowledge reality. Procedure has become a barricade. And behind that barricade, families dug children out of rubble with their hands. This is not complicated. It is cruel. It is the deliberate destruction of a people. Genocide is not just a word in a treaty. It's the crime we swore to prevent. Gaza's neighborhoods have been turned to dust. Its hospitals bombed, its water cut, its people starved. Children by the tens of thousands slaughtered by an American ally with American weapons, shielded by American diplomacy. Do we still need more proof, or have we simply grown numb to it? Some will say self-defense. Self-defense is not deliberate starvation of a trapped population. It is not leveling of entire districts. It is not language that calls human beings animals and then treats them as such. Dehumanization is the fuse that lights atrocity, and it has been burning for months. So what do we do when the Council fails? We use the tool the United Nations gave itself for exactly this moment. Uniting for Peace, otherwise known as Resolution 377A, when the Security Council cannot act because a great power blocks it, the General Assembly must act, not as theater, but as protection for innocent life. As a manifestation of what we can do for the least. Here is what that means now. First, an immediate unconditional ceasefire. No more delays, no more euphemisms. Stop the killing. Second, open the crossings and secure humanitarian corridors under UN authority. Food, water, medicine, fuel. Let the aid flow at scale and at speed. Third, an international protection mission to shield civilians and ensure relief actually gets to them. If the Council won't send blue helmets, the Assembly should recommend a broad coalition under the United Nations auspices to stand between the vulnerable and the violent. And finally, accountability. Support investigations and sanctions where necessary. The law is not a suggestion. It is a guardrail for our humanity. None of this is radical. These are the floorboards of basic decency. The General Assembly has already shown the will of the world. Overwhelming votes for ceasefire and access. Now it must move from declarative sentences to protective actions. I know this is not the final answer to a century of dispossession and fear. Uniting for Peace will not, by itself, resolve borders and occupation or reconcile histories. But right now, Gaza is a burning house. You don't draft blueprints while people are trapped inside. You put out the fire. This is the tourniquet so the patient can live long enough to heal. To the cynics who shrug and say it's only words, I ask, what are laws? What are charters? What are flags? If not promises made out loud. Words backed by will can open gates and close skies. Words backed by will can feed children and silence artillery. If there is any meaning left in we the people, let it mean something today. We also need to talk to our own souls. We built machines that see in the dark and strike from the skies and the seas. Yet we hesitate to look one another in the eye. We've perfected logistics for bombs, but make excuses for bread. We are not cogs. We are not algorithms. We are not the cold arithmetic of power. We are human. And because we are human, we know exactly what is required. Do for others what we would beg the world to do for us if our children were the ones thirsty, terrified, and alone. This is not about choosing sides in an ancient rivalry. It is about choosing life over indifference. A Palestinian child has the same right to a future as any child, as my children, as yours. Equal dignity is not a slogan. It's the only ground firm enough to build peace on. Anything less is a countdown to the next catastrophe. If the UN cannot do this when children are dying of dehydration in the ruins of their own homes, then all our speeches are just wind. But I don't believe that. I believe there is still courage in this system, and conscience in this family of nations. I believe there are leaders who refuse to be remembered for their excuses. History is here, now, judging us in real time. The children of Gaza cannot wait for our perfect politics. They need our imperfect but immediate action, ceasefire, aid, protection, accountability. Then and only then can we begin the harder, longer work, so every person between the river and the sea lives with equal rights and equal safety. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Free Palestine.
Next, we have Muhammad Ali. He's with American Muslims for Palestine and Taxpayers Against Genocide.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. You know, for obvious reasons, I can't help these days but be overwhelmed with so many different emotions. Emotions like anger, fear, desperation, and sometimes regret. but also hope, trusting God's plan, and gratitude. Gratitude for all the wonderful people like yourselves around the entire planet standing in solidarity for Palestine against evil. And it wasn't always like that. I can remember a day not too long ago where if you spoke about Palestine, most people didn't even know what was happening there. And if they did, they would just reiterate the same lies that Israel spreads today. That is until a new generation of heroes were born. A new generation of all walks of life that refused to stay silent and take to social media to set the record straight. And to guarantee that what they were seeing and what we are all seeing cannot be denied or ignored. You know, I can remember conversations with my family members giving me firsthand accounts of our village, Deir Yassin, in 1948. You know it as the Nakba. To me, that's my family's legacy. I was told how the Zionist Lehi militia, known as the Stern Gang, began implementing the Balfour Declaration of 1917, the creation of a Zionist state in Palestine, by any means necessary. Stories like my great-great-aunt shot by the Zionist occupation while carrying her 2-year-old grandson. She fell with such force that the impact killed her 2-year-old grandson. When his mother found him and begged the occupation to let her take him, they told her that they would shoot her on sight if she tried. And on the day when the occupation came for all the boys in our village, my grandmother dressed my uncle as a girl to save him, but they were tipped off. They lined up all the boys, shot them all firing squad style. When his younger brother found him, he ran back to his mother. His mother obviously asked him, "Where's your brother?" And he answered her with an Arabic proverb, "The distance between he and I is like a vast sea. He is now with the unseen." And how in 1967, the Zionist occupation chased those fleeing Jerusalem into Jordan, targeting anything moving, including the pickup truck that my mother and others were hiding in. Everyone was jumping out, my mother being a young girl froze in fear. And if it weren't for my uncle's quick action and courage, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today. So you see, this didn't start in 2023. For decades, Israel has, I guess you could say, relied on their puppets to lie, enable, and even contribute to the Holocaust of the Palestinian people. Israel has acted with impunity. Nothing is safe. No one or nothing is sacred. Still, world leaders turn their backs on deliberate starvation and targeting of Palestinian men, women, children, journalists, and anyone who dares to help, including our own United States citizens. Israel has become so arrogant, they don't even try to hide it anymore, going as far as attacking other nations, putting the entire world at risk. But we have a chance to change that. And we're not asking you to put your lives at risk. We're only asking you to speak up. The UN General Assembly gave Israel 1 year to withdraw from Gaza and stop the aggression. This deadline is fast approaching, September 18th. And not only have they not withdrawn or stopped aggression, they've escalated it. Things have gotten much worse. We all see that. So now it's time to act. Now we need to do things a little bit differently. In a minute, I'll tell you how to push your government officials to vote for the Uniting for Peace initiative, which calls on nations to send protection and aid into Gaza by means that it was created for. Now, this was created in 1950 to bypass deadlock in the United Nations Security Council, especially when one of the 5 permanent members, like the United States, uses its veto power to block action in case of war or genocide. So think about the opportunity we have here. Tell your friends and your family here and abroad, and it doesn't matter where you live. Every single voice counts. This is not our chance to hold, this is our chance to now hold Israel accountable and truly help the Palestinian people. So go to lifelineforpalestine.com and taxpayersagainstgenocide.org. Join these two powerful movements for the tools you need to demand the government takes action. In my faith, there's a quote from our Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whoever among you sees an evil, let him change it with his hands. If he cannot, then with his tongue. And if he cannot, then with his heart. And that is the weakest of faith. So my friends, let's use our voices to fight this evil. And I promise you, there will come a time when your children or your children's children are going to ask you what you did to help. Did you take even the smallest steps? What will they be told? That will be up to you. I want to leave you with this. Whenever there is oppression, resistance is not only expected, it's justified. May Allah ease the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Gaza and all over the world. May Allah give victory to the oppressed. May Allah Jabbar, the compeller, the restorer, compel these nations to take action and restore peace to the people of Palestine and all over the world. Ameen. Free Palestine!
Next, we have Maryum Shuaib. She's with the Council on American Islamic Relations, the New York chapter.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all. I am Maryum Shuaib, the Community Program Organizer at the Council on American Islamic Relations of New York. CAIR New York is New York's chapter of the largest Muslim American civil rights organization in the nation. We stand here as New Yorkers and Americans who are deeply impacted by the impotence of the United Nations to end the ongoing annihilation of Palestinians and to recognize Palestinian statehood. Each year, for the past 70 years, the same scenario manifests itself like clockwork. Every single year, the state representatives sensibly vote in favor of Palestinian statehood while a slim minority vetoes. And every single year, the same party that vetoes ultimately adds another year to the streak of denying Palestinian statehood on the international stage as Palestinians like myself watch. As a Palestinian, I am forced to watch the interrogation of my existence. And while discussions recycle themselves every year, so many of us endure the trauma of having our families murdered. The General Assembly's fruitless discussion has costed us over 680,000 Palestinians. Again, over 680,000 Palestinians, an ongoing siege and a genocide that has perpetrated and reverberated throughout Palestine, which has produced an ocean's worth of real Palestinian blood and 1,000 lifetimes worth of psychological torture. The continuous vetoes of the United States have directly enabled the obliteration of schools, of libraries, academics, journalists, medics, and our hospitals. The continuous vetoes of the United States has warranted the mass execution, manufactured starvation, war crimes, and international law violations with no accountability in sight. During United Nations Week last year, the Palestinian question was once again raised to the General Assembly, and the United States casted its veto. Within the same week, the Palestinian Ministry of Health reported that over 103 Palestinians were killed in Gaza as a result of Israeli bombardment. How much longer will we witness the UN's failure to act decisively for Palestinians? Must self-determination come only after Palestine is nothing but rubble, charred bodies, mourning mothers, and martyrs? Now, more than ever, the American conscience distances itself from its government and its actions on the international stage. Reports from Al Jazeera clearly show that over 60% of Americans are currently against the ongoing genocide that America supports. And yet, every single year, the same party, the United States, casts its veto, and with that, casts away the possibility of Palestinian statehood. The Council on American Islamic Relations of New York calls on the United States to take every action necessary to guarantee a ceasefire. Now is the time, and it has been the time, for our government to join the international community in condemning and holding Israel accountable for its ongoing genocide against Gaza and against the Palestinian people. From the river to the sea, Palestine is almost free. Liberation is here. Assalamu alaikum.
And next we have Rafed Aljoboury. He's the chairman of the Integrity Political Action Committee.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace be upon you and the blessing of God. I would like to start by highlighting or shed the light on the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Since we are also a charity disaster relief organization that's operating in Gaza. In short, it is much worse than what you see on social media and TV. We have a lot of videos, images. We've dealt with cases inside Gaza. That is, we cannot even put any image or video for it on social media. So the silence, the deafening silence of the Western nations, or what so-called Western democracies, they are not just complicit, rather they are actively participating in the slaughter of children, women, elderly. And genocide doesn't have to be by bullets. Any one of these images, it's enough indictment against Israel, let alone if we add them collectively. You don't have to fire a bullet. Starving them alone, as shown in this image, is genocide. That child, there are tens of thousands of children, infants, and toddlers, skeletons. The death of malnutrition is daily occurrence. Not to mention, of course, the constant bombardment, carpet bombing, and leveling of buildings that is inhabited. And they are doing it square kilometer by square kilometer, trying to get more into the middle of Gaza City, to push them farther to the sea and down south to the concentration camp that my brother Aguilar was talking about. And they're only designated, as he said, that concentration camp for 1.5 million people, to host only 1.5 million people. So wait, if there are 2.2 million people, why would you designate just an area of land that's only 1.5 million, unless you are comfortable that you killed over 600,000 of them? That's the reality, as he mentioned the number. Now, other more recent numbers also, 408, that's the most recent number I found, but it could be more actually. 408 aid workers killed, including UN, that's including all the UN workers and UNRWA. And you have 274 journalists since October 7th. That is 3 times the amount of journalists killed in Vietnam and World War II combined within 2 years. I mean, if that is not enough to make this institution move, then what is? And speaking of this institution, in its charter and its stated mission is to ensure the compliance with international law and provide humanitarian relief. They are not even able to do that at this point. Not because they cannot, no, because they do not have the will. Member nations don't have the will to seriously take serious steps against Israel. And the greatest injustice of all that this institution committed against Palestinians is the moment they acknowledge settler colonial project to be a state, disregarding the 3,000 years plus history of Palestine, disregarding the right of the indigenous people. But that is not something you know. They've done that here in the United States too. So I guess it is a trend. Except back then there was no international law, and now there is. So to take steps and voting for uniting for peace resolution is the least they can do to rectify just a bit of the greatest injustices that they committed against Palestinians as an institution. Because we are here today witnessing a genocide of more than 500,000 people getting killed so far as a result of their inaction, as a result of them acknowledging an occupation force and colonial project to be a state, and gave a land to other people that who's not indigenous. It is not yours to give. The land is not yours, nor it is belong to Britain to give. So it is time, it is well overdue. Enough, the Nakba is continuation. It is not never stopped. They've been living Nakba since 1948 and even arguably before that, because the project started in the early 30s, actively taking lands out of Palestinians. So it is time well overdue to act. And the recent decision of last year, they gave Israel 1 year to comply with the ICJ. So wait, you know they are committing genocide and you give them another year to commit some more killing? Why not act now? Why not act today? Just like you swiftly acted against Ukraine, against Russia, just like you swiftly acted against Iraq, against Libya, against other nations. If we have international law, then it has to apply on everybody, and this institution should prove to the entire world they are impartial and they are stand and we're going to uphold international law and uphold the values that they've written in their mission statement and charter. Free Palestine.
Next we have New York's own Jose Vega. He's a congressional candidate for the 15th District in New York and an interventionist.
So yes, I am a congressional candidate running in the Bronx, New York 15th Congressional District. You may be aware of my notorious opponent, Richie Torres, who represents the rot that has overtaken the entire Congress. It's not just him that's personally profiting off of the death of Palestinian children by investing in Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, or L3 Harris. He is just the latest one to have gotten exposed by it. And I want to explain to you why I'm running for Congress and what that means to me. And the first thing I want to do is I want to reference Malcolm X 2 months before he died in December of 1964. He gave a speech about independence, and he was talking about what that means, and he referenced the conference of Bandung, the spirit of Bandung. And he says there that many nations came together. Some were brown, some were yellow, some were red. These were his words. Some were capitalists, some were communists, some were socialists, but they all came together because none of them had nuclear weapons, and they all decided that they were not going to be bullied around by Western imperialist countries anymore. But let me tell you something. President Sukarno opened up that revolutionary conference, the first of its kind, in 1955, April 18th, on the anniversary of Paul Revere's ride. And he referenced that. At the conference of Bandung, he references the American Revolution, the spirit of 1776. A lot of you have no reason to know this, but President Mossadegh, the president of Iran in 1951, came to Philadelphia, Independence Hall, to make an appeal to the American people, where he said, if my contrast of your own abundant freedom with our shackled liberties is touched by envy, it is because we share with you a love of liberty, and because we have been less fortunate than you in wresting our prized freedom from that country which in 1776 had to yield it to you. See, you have to understand that 1776 and the American Revolution meant something to countries around the world. They understood that it was the first act of anti-colonialism, as said by President Sukarno at the very conference of Bandung in 1955. He said, The first successful anti-colonial war in history is what he called it. And then he went on to reference the poet Longfellow, who wrote of Paul Revere's ride, a cry of defiance and not of fear, a voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that shall echo forevermore. And he went on to say, yes, it shall echo forevermore, just as the other anti-colonial words which gave us comfort and reassurance during the darkest days of our struggle shall echo forevermore. You know who was also there? Congressman Adam Clayton Powell Jr. of Harlem. He was one of the first black congressmen in the 1950s. And he went over to the conference of Bandung despite the State Department telling him not to go, begging and pleading for him not to go, and he went as an observer. And he went there representing this idea of independence. And now here we are again, standing here at the United Nations, where many of these same nations took from us the idea of independence and sovereignty and made it their own. And here we are standing again for that same battle of independence and sovereignty. People have to declare their independence again. And as we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the founding of this country, we will have to decide, are we a country of genocide? Are we a country of death and mass murders? We broke from that. We broke from the British Empire. Did you know that every 6 days on average, a country celebrates Freedom from Britain Day? That's what we started. We showed that it was possible. And despite the fact that that idea doesn't exist in the halls of Congress or in the Senate or in the presidency, it exists in your mind. Some of history's greatest thinkers in the last 250 years have found inspiration in that idea of liberty. Because, as President Mossadegh said, the creed of national independence is a universal one and is held by all peoples. And so now going forward, our atonement as Americans has to be the rebuilding of Gaza, the rebuilding of Palestine, the rebuilding of all the other nations that we have overthrown and all the leaders we have killed. That will be atonement. Because when we finally figure out how to revive our own country, when we finally figure out how to revive the Bronx, which is the poorest congressional district in the country, which I call Gaza West, when we start up the steel manufacturing plants again, the glass manufacturing plants again, we will export that right to Gaza. And we'll be right there rebuilding what we destroyed. Because we can't bring back the people that have died. But we can help build a brighter future off of the tragedy that we committed. That is atonement. That is the future. And that's what we are all here fighting for. So thank you.
Next, we have Moe Hamza. He is a social media influencer and an activist.
Hey everyone, I have to be honest, I wasn't sure I was going to actually speak today, so here I am. But thank you for having me. So hi everyone, I'm a Palestinian American named Moe Hamza, and some of you may know me as Moe Hams on social media, which is an account that no longer exists because, like many of you, I have been supremely censored and suppressed by the digital holocauster named Meta, whom has shut down 28 accounts of mine and counting. But that's not what I'm here to focus on. I'd like to call out our institutions who claim to represent international law. Dear ICJ and ICC, I'd like to start off by saying that you have made it abundantly clear to the world that you are in fact useless. You serve no purpose. You might as well take your judge robes and burn them right now because you are no judge of anything. We watched you play verbal gymnastics with your plausible genocide BS over a year and a half ago. And Israel has only laughed in your faces while ramping up the genocide 1 million-fold. Not a single emergency meeting to immediately reprimand Israel since then. They are spitting in the world's faces while gloating about it on live TV, showing the whole world that they are the chosen ones that can get away with literal mass murder on live stream without a single consequence. And dear UN, When will you understand that you are simply a cog that perpetuates the endless torment of the Palestinians? The UN is the reason why the terrorist ethno-state of Israel even exists. They helped establish it. So now it's time for them to help dismantle it. It is clear that you must immediately implement an international military to stop this right now. No more of this peacekeeping nonsense. There is no peace with demons like this. And you already know that these peacekeepers that you've sent have continuously been attacked and even killed by Israel. As you sit there and allow Israel to continue to be a member state, you are making the UN a complete joke, a complete farce. They are killing your employees in record numbers. They are shredding UN charters in front of your faces. And you still allow them to have a seat at the damn table? Kick them out immediately, along with their vetoing terrorist slaves called the United States of America, whom have single-handedly perpetuated hundreds of thousands of Palestinian murders with one single hand. While the White House lies to the world incessantly, including Matthew Miller and the Biden administration, who now are publicly admitting to their lies now that they're out of the White House. They are publicly admitting to war crimes without any consequence. What world are we living in right now, where all of this goes completely unchecked? While we supposedly have international institutions in place for this very reason, to end this and hold everyone accountable for the live stream Holocaust we are witnessing until this very day. What else do we have to show you? Really? I have demands. I'm demanding a vote on UN Resolution 377A. I'm demanding to immediately and permanently lift the siege on Gaza. I'm demanding an immediate arms embargo on Israel and to immediately enforce a ceasefire. I demand to immediately evacuate all critically injured and ill individuals. I demand to hold Israel accountable for its war crimes. I demand to grant immediate access to the UN and NGOs to deliver urgent humanitarian aid. I demand to protect the civilian population from the IDF and immediate removal of the death trap that is called the GHF. I demand that we immediately start rebuilding Gaza's infrastructure, including hospitals, schools, and utility services. Lastly, I demand an end to lip service, an end to your dilly-dallying, an end to your complicity through inaction. I demand that you do your damn jobs or step the hell down for the sake of humanity. Thank you, and free Palestine.
I want to thank everyone for coming. And let's not forget, one quick word, and that is, when we talk about Israel, but, my background in law enforcement, if I give someone a gun, give someone bullets, point to the location of a victim, and they kill the victim, and then I shield that person from prosecution, I am not complicit. I am actually a part of the act of the crime. So the United States government, our so-called representatives, that they clearly don't represent us, they're far more than complicit. They are actually actors, and when they act to shield the Israeli government, the Zionists, from prosecution, they are actually acting to shield themselves from prosecution also, because they are every bit as guilty. I want to thank everyone for coming today. I want to thank all of our speakers, and last but not least, free Palestine.